They always said sisters share everything, secrets, laughter, even heartbreak. But I learned the hard way, some sisters only share until they've taken it all. Lena and I grew up in a small house on the edge of a dying town. Two girls chasing fireflies in broken glass fields, dreaming of lives that didn't smell like rust and desperation. I was the older one, the quieter one. She was light and sound and chaos. Everyone loved her. Teachers, boys, even stray cats would follow her home. Our mother used to say, Lena burns too bright. You, Mara, you keep the light alive. I didn't know what she meant until much later, when I watched my sister burn through people like they were candles. And I was the wax that kept melting beneath her flame. Years passed, and somehow, I built the life everyone said I deserved. A good husband. A home filled with warmth. A career that finally made me feel seen. And Lena? She drifted, jobs, men, cities. She'd vanish for months, then show up at my door with stories that sounded like bad movies. I'd feed her, lend her clothes, listen. She'd leave a little chaos behind each time, but she was my sister. I always forgave her. The night everything began, she arrived again, drenched from the rain. Mascara bleeding like bruises. Mara, she whispered. I had nowhere else to go. I let her in. Like always. My husband, Evan, offered her tea. He'd always been kind to her, too kind sometimes. I ignored that small sting of discomfort. You don't accuse your husband of flirting with your sister. You just bury it under politeness. The first few days were harmless. She helped around the house, cooked breakfast, even laughed with me like old times. But then I began noticing things, my perfume half empty, my bracelet missing. Her laughter echoing with his in the next room. I told myself I was paranoid. That's what women do, we gaslight ourselves before anyone else gets the chance. But then came the photo. I found it one morning on her phone while helping her with a grocery list. Just a flash, a reflection in the mirror. Lena. My husband. His hand on her waist. Her smirk, half victory, half cruelty. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I just stared at that picture until it became a blur of betrayal. That night, I watched them from the kitchen doorway, him pouring wine, her brushing her hair behind her ear. That soft giggle only women use when they know they've already won. I wanted to scream. Instead, I smiled. Because in that moment, something inside me changed. The kind of change you can't undo. I realized she hadn't just taken my husband. She was after my life, every bit of peace I'd built. And suddenly, I wanted to see what would happen if I didn't forgive her this time. The next few weeks were a theater of lies. Lena pretending innocence, Evan pretending confusion, and me pretending I didn't already know. Then one morning, my boss called. My company was under investigation for data leaks. My system, my login, had been used to steal confidential information. I was suspended. No hearing. No chance to explain. When I came home, Lena was in the living room. She looked almost relieved. Bad day, she asked, tilting her head. I just nodded. She hugged me. Don't worry, Mara. You've always landed on your feet. That night, I checked my laptop. Files missing. Emails sent that I didn't write. It didn't take long to realize someone had been in my study, my password saved, my system open. And only one person had access. That was when I opened the black notebook. I'd kept it since university, a small leather-bound diary of observations, habits, details. It wasn't about revenge. Not then. It was about patterns, people's weaknesses, tells, the things they didn't think I noticed. Lena's name had a section of its own. I started writing again. Her lies, her movements, her new contacts, her sudden interest in my finances. I tracked everything. Because if she wanted to destroy me, she'd have to do it knowing I was watching. Then came the night I found the email. Sent from my account to the corporate auditors, attaching confidential data with a message written in my tone. Only, it wasn't my tone. It was hers, sharp, polished, self-satisfied. I confronted her quietly. Did you do it? I asked. She didn't look surprised. She just smiled, sipping her tea. Do what, Mara? You know what? She leaned closer. Even if I did, who would believe you? You've always been so emotional. People don't trust women who sound desperate, and that was it. The moment I stopped being the victim in my own story. I stopped crying, stopped begging, started planning. For 2 weeks, I let her think she'd won. I watched her get comfortable. She started wearing my jewelry, using my perfume, answering my phone when I was in the shower. She'd sit beside Evan at dinner and say things like, "You two are perfect together," and he'd smile awkwardly, not guilt, not regret. Just weakness. That was all I needed to know. Then came the setup, the moment she'd been waiting for. She told Evan I'd been hiding money. Told my company I'd destroyed evidence. Told my friends I'd lost my mind. By the time I realized, it was too late. Evan moved out for space, my company terminated me. And Lena stayed, in my house, in my bed, in my world. I left quietly, taking only the notebook. People said I'd gone mad. That I was obsessed with my sister. Maybe I was. But obsession is just focus with pain behind it. And I'd finally found clarity. I spent nights tracing her moves, her patterns, the way she planted lies like seeds. Every lie had a purpose. Every rumor had a direction. By the third month, she'd replaced me entirely. My friends became her friends. My husband became her lover. My life became her trophy. But trophies tarnish when you touch them too long. I started sending anonymous tips to the auditors, planting seeds of my own. A few messages here, a few files there. Enough to make her nervous. And nervous people make mistakes. She thought I was gone. But I was watching, always. I always thought losing yourself would feel like falling. But it wasn't falling, it was drowning. Quiet, slow. Unnoticed. 3 weeks after I left home, I got a message from my bank. Large withdrawals. Property transfers. Someone had forged my signature. The documents were perfect, my handwriting, my initials, even my digital key. Lena had taken my name. My life wasn't just stolen, it was rewritten. I went to confront her. She opened the door like she'd been expecting me. Mara, she said sweetly, you should have called. I'm hosting dinner. Behind her, I saw my husband, her new husband now, pouring wine into my crystal glasses, laughing with my friends around my table. Every inch of that room belonged to me once. Now it was just a museum of what I used to be. I walked in uninvited. The air froze. Everyone looked at me like I was the ghost at my own funeral. Hello, everyone, I said quietly. No one spoke. Lena moved closer, touched my arm like she was comforting me. You shouldn't have come, she whispered. You're not well, remember? And that's when I realized she'd told them I was unstable. A breakdown, paranoia. She'd rehearsed this. Every line, every pitying glance. I laughed, a sound that didn't even feel like it came from me. Then I turned and walked out. That night, I didn't sleep. I read through every page of my black notebook, tracing each entry like scripture. Every move she'd made, every lie she'd told. I had proof, but no one would believe me. So I decided to give them something they couldn't ignore. I spent days collecting evidence, digital traces, hidden transactions, IP logs. But each time I got close, something would go wrong. My accounts would reset. My files would vanish. My passwords stopped working. She wasn't just watching me. She was inside my world. Somehow, she'd gotten into my systems. And then came the message, one sentence on my screen when I logged in, you don't win. Until I let you, no signature. No named, just her handwriting, replicated in pixels. I remember sitting there shaking, not from fear, but from understanding. She wasn't trying to ruin me anymore. She wanted to own me. That was when I met Daniel. He was a quiet investigator from the auditing firm that had suspended me. At first, he treated me like a suspect, guarded, distant, polite. But over time, he started to see what I'd been saying all along. Lena had forged trails, manipulated files, even staged evidence in my home before I left. She's good, he said one night, scanning through the data. Too good, she's had years of practice, I replied. We started working together, off the record. He was risking his job. I was risking what little sanity I had left. But it felt good to have someone who didn't look at me like I was broken. Then one evening, he called, his voice trembling. Mara, you were right. She didn't just frame you, she is using your company's systems to move money offshore. Millions. Under your name. I remember the silence that followed. My whole life had been small lies, and suddenly, I was part of something monstrous. Send me everything, I said. He hesitated. If I do, I become her next target, then send it anyway, I told him. At least one of us should survive this clean. That was the last time we spoke. The next morning, he was found dead. An accident, they said. But I knew better. Because that same day, a new envelope appeared on my doorstep. Inside was a single photo, Daniel's car wreck, and a note, curiosity kills more than cats. No one else knew I'd been meeting him. No one. I wanted to run. Disappear. But then I remembered something Daniel had said once, she wins because you play by her rules. Change the game, so I did. I began feeding her false information, fake accounts, fake leads. Each one designed to make her slip. And she did, not all at once, but slowly. Her arrogance made her sloppy. One evening, I watched from across the street as police raided her office. Someone had tipped them off about financial irregularities. I wonder who. I expected her to panic. Instead, she smiled when they cuffed her. It wasn't fear. It was performance. Even as they took her away, she looked directly at the window where I stood hidden and mouthed, "Your turn." That night, I received another message from an unknown number. A video clip, Lena in handcuffs, being escorted through the station, whispering to an officer. The caption read, "Still in control, she wasn't bluffing." Over the next few weeks, strange things started happening again. My phone glitched. My Wi-Fi cut out. My online banking showed transactions I didn't make. And then, the house. I came home one evening to find my front door ajar. Inside, everything was exactly how I'd left it, except for one thing. On the kitchen table sat a small black envelope, sealed with red wax. Inside was a handwritten note. Did you really think it ends with an arrest? No signature? No fingerprints. Just that same looping handwriting I'd known since childhood. I called the detective in charge of her case. He swore Lena hadn't had any contact with the outside world. But I knew better. She didn't need to leave the cell to haunt me. She had people. Loyal ones. The kind she built from favors, secrets, and promises. I didn't sleep that night. I just stared at the ceiling and thought about all the years I'd spent protecting her. All the times I'd believed she could change. And for the first time, I wondered if maybe I'd created her. If every forgiveness, every excuse, every second chance had carved the monster she'd become. Because monsters don't appear overnight. We build them piece by piece, kindness by kindness, until one day they turn around and devour us. But even monsters bleed when cornered. I decided to hit her where it hurt most, her ego. I contacted a journalist I knew from my corporate days. A woman who loved stories about corruption and deception. I gave her everything. The offshore accounts, the manipulated evidence, the timeline, but I made her promise one thing. She couldn't publish it yet. Not until I said so. Because revenge isn't about timing. It's about patience. A week later, the charity gala happened, Lena's masterpiece of reinvention. Her company's event. Her new public image as a victim of false accusations. I went to, dressed in black, quiet, invisible. She stood on stage, speaking about resilience and truth. The crowd adored her. Cameras flashed. The applause was thunderous. And then, halfway through her speech, the lights flickered. The projector behind her came alive. A slideshow appeared, account numbers, transaction IDs, forged signatures, offshore transfers. All under her name. All traced. The crowd gasped. Reporters raised their phones. And Lena froze. Her mask cracked, just for a second, and I saw the real her. Rage. Panic. Fear. Police moved in. Her assistant tried to shut down the feed, but it was too late. The evidence was everywhere now, screens, news feeds, social media. Her empire collapsed in real time. As they led her away, she searched the crowd until her eyes found mine. No words. Just that same look she'd given me since childhood, a promise that she wasn't finished. And maybe she wasn't. Because even as the world cheered for her downfall, I felt no victory. Only the quiet hum of unfinished business. After the charity night, the world devoured Lena's downfall like a scandalous feast. Headlines screamed betrayal, fraud, corruption. News anchors dissected her life. The genius turned criminal, the sister turned enemy. Everyone suddenly remembered the warning signs they'd once ignored. But no one remembered me. I wasn't part of the story, just a ghost haunting the footnotes. For weeks, I lived in quiet isolation. I'd wake up, make tea, and watch the news replay the footage of her arrest again and again. Her face, calm as ever, eyes locked on the camera like she was performing even in handcuffs. At first, I felt satisfied. Then, I started feeling nothing. And that was worse. People messaged me, old co-workers, friends, even Evan once. He said he was sorry, that he hadn't known the extent of it. I never replied. Sorry doesn't rebuild what's been burned. But silence has its own price. When the noise fades, the ghosts get louder. I started hearing her voice at night, little echoes from the past. You're too soft, Mara. You let people get away with murder. I'm not like you. No, you're not. That's why I'll always win. One night, unable to sleep, I drove to the edge of the city, to the cliff we used to visit as kids. We'd throw pebbles into the sea, pretending each one was a wish. That night, I threw one in and whispered, I wish I'd never opened that door. But the sea didn't take wishes anymore. It only reflected faces, mine and the ghost of hers behind me. The next morning, I got a call from Detective Rayner, the officer handling her case. She's been asking for you, he said. Every day, I have nothing to say to her. Then you might want to hear what she's been saying. He told me Lena had started talking, not confessions, but stories. Twisted versions of our childhood, filled with details only I would know. She's trying to control the narrative, he said. Turning your life into her defense, I should have ignored it. But curiosity is a dangerous form of grief. I agreed to visit her. The detention center was colder than I'd imagined. The walls smelled like disinfectant and despair. When she walked in, wearing the gray inmate uniform, she looked exactly the same, not broken, not regretful. Just Lena. Mara, she said softly, as if we were meeting for coffee. I didn't respond. She smiled. I see they've cut your hair. It suits you. Makes you look free. I'm not here for compliments. Then why are you here? I didn't answer. She didn't need me to. She already knew. You want to understand, she said. You always do. There was something in her tone, a strange calmness, like she was the one visiting me. She leaned forward. You think you won. But you only won the game I allowed you to play. I stared at her, fighting the urge to react. What did you do, Lena? She tilted her head. You really believe I'd leave everything in your hands? My people still work. They still listen. Even from here, I can build things. Break things. Her eyes glinted. Check your Wi-Fi when you get home. I almost laughed until I realized she wasn't joking. That night, my phone wouldn't connect. My laptop froze. My bank account showed suspicious activity. A message appeared on my screen again. Same handwriting, still in your head. For a moment, panic clawed its way up my throat. Then I remembered Daniel's voice, changed the game, so I did. I contacted Rainer. You said she still has people outside. I want to find them. He warned me not to get involved. I ignored him. Over the next week, I dug deeper into her old contacts, fake charities, burner accounts. I found names, numbers, transactions. Some small, some terrifyingly big. She'd built a network of loyal ghosts, people who owed her favors, money, silence. But I wasn't alone this time. The journalist I'd leaked to, her name was Harper, started helping me. Together, we built a map of Lena's world. Every string she'd pulled, every person she'd buried. The deeper we went, the more I realized Lena didn't just destroy people, she collected them. Each one broken in their own way, each one desperate to belong. That was her gift, to make people feel seen, then make them disappear. By the third week, Harper uncovered something that froze me. One of Lena's shell companies had recently received anonymous deposits from accounts still active, under my old credentials. She's using your name again, Harper said. And she's planning something. Something big. I didn't want to believe it. But denial is just fear dressed as logic. I drove back to the detention center. When Lena saw me, she smiled like a magician watching her trick unfold. I was wondering how long it would take. What are you planning? I demanded. She laughed softly. You still don't get it, do you? I don't plan anymore, I plant. Her eyes gleamed with something terrifying, faith. Every seed I ever put in your life is still growing. Even now, I wanted to hit her, scream, something, but instead, I just whispered, you'll rot here. She leaned closer, her voice low and calm. You really think these walls keep me in? You've always believed in cages, Mara. I just build doors. That night, I got home and found an envelope under my door, again sealed with red wax. Inside was a single page torn from my own notebook. On it, my handwriting, the perfect revenge is making them watch themselves burn. But I'd never written that. Not in words anyway. Only in thought. That was when I realized she still had someone close. Someone feeding her details. The next few days were chaos. Harper went missing for 24 hours, later found unharmed, shaken, refusing to talk. My email was hacked again. And then, a video surfaced online, me entering the detention center, edited to make it look like I was passing her files. The comments flooded in, maybe the sisters worked together, maybe it was all a setup. My stomach twisted. This wasn't revenge anymore. It was rebirth, hers, through me. I knew what I had to do. If she wanted the world to believe I was part of her, I'd give her a reason to fear it. So I staged my own disappearance. I deleted my accounts, sold my car, left no trace. For 3 months, I vanished, no phone, no address, no identity. But I wasn't running. I was rebuilding. I moved into a small house by the coast, an old fisherman's cottage with peeling paint and no Wi-Fi. I lived quietly, writing every detail of the story into my new notebook, not in anger this time, but in understanding. Some nights, I'd dream of her, behind bars, whispering through the cracks, you can't erase me. I live where your fear lives, and I'd wake up smiling. Because I'd finally realized something she never would. Fear isn't a weakness. It's a compass. It shows you where you've been wounded and where to strike back. By the time winter came, I had everything I needed, the real files, the evidence of her ongoing manipulation, and the names of the people still working for her. I sent it all anonymously to the press, to the prosecutors, to every name that had once doubted me. Then I waited. When the news broke, new charges filed in Lena Voss' case, I didn't celebrate. I just stood at the shore, watching the tide erase my footprints. Because revenge isn't about destruction. It's about disappearance, theirs or yours. And sometimes, both. The night before Lena's sentencing, I dreamt of the river again, the same place where Daniel's car was found submerged months ago. In the dream, the water was calm, moonlight scattered over its surface like broken glass. But beneath, shadows moved slow and deliberate. When I leaned closer, I saw two faces, Daniel's and Lena's, both staring back at me with hollow smiles. I woke up gasping. The room was silent except for the ticking clock on the wall, 3:47 a.m. I didn't go back to sleep. The next morning, I arrived at the courthouse early. The marble steps glistened from the rain that had fallen overnight. Dozens of reporters stood behind barricades, shouting questions. Did you ever suspect her? Do you forgive her? Forgive? That word felt so small for the scale of what she did. When Lena entered the courtroom, her hands were cuffed, but her head was high. Even in a beige prison uniform, she looked unnervingly composed. Her eyes found mine the moment she sat down. She smiled, that same polite, venomous smile. I didn't look away. The prosecution laid out the evidence like a surgeon slicing open a wound. The fake emails, the tampered reports, the anonymous tips to the board that ruined Daniel's reputation before his death, all orchestrated by Lena. Her motive, control. She wanted to dismantle everything she couldn't possess. When it was my turn to testify, my palms were slick with sweat. I told them everything from the day I met Lena to the night I found Daniel's car by the river. My voice trembled once when I said his name, but I kept going. Lena watched, expressionless, her chin tilted upward like I was an actress reading from a script she had written. When the verdict was read, guilty on all counts, the courtroom erupted in murmurs. I didn't move. I just looked at her, waiting for some sign of regret, or fear, or even relief. But she gave none. Then, just before the guards led her away, she leaned slightly toward me and mouthed something. 3 silent words. You needed me, and just like that, she was gone. Weeks passed. The city moved on. Her face disappeared from the headlines, replaced by new scandals, new tragedies. But mine remained in the silence that followed. I quit the company. The office felt haunted, every glass door reflecting fragments of her smile. I moved into a small apartment overlooking the water, not the river, but the sea. I needed space. I needed to breathe air she hadn't touched. For a while, I tried to rebuild. Therapy sessions, new routines, long walks. But every time my phone buzzed unexpectedly, my pulse quickened. I had changed my number, my email, everything. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling she was out there, watching, waiting. One night, I came home to find a small envelope slipped under my door. No return address. Inside was a single photograph. It was of Daniel and me, smiling, from years ago. But on the back, written in delicate cursive, were 2 words, still watching, my knees nearly buckled. I turned on every light in the apartment, checked the windows, the locks, nothing. No sign of a break-in. No fingerprints. Just that photograph. I wanted to believe it wasn't her. That someone else had sent it. But deep down, I knew. Lena might have been behind bars, but her reach, her mind, didn't need walls. Months turned into a year. Slowly, life found its rhythm again. I started teaching creative writing at a local college. Something quiet, human, far removed from the corporate world. My students didn't know my past. To them, I was just Professor Mara. One afternoon, as I was grading papers, a knock echoed on my office door. Come in, I said without looking up. A young woman entered, clutching a notebook. She looked nervous. Hi, I'm new to your class, she said. I just wanted to drop off my assignment. I smiled faintly. Of course. What's your name? She hesitated for a moment, then smiled. Elena, the name froze me. It wasn't Lena, but close enough to twist something inside me. She placed the notebook on my desk. I hope you like stories about revenge, she said lightly. Then she left. For a long time, I just stared at the notebook. Finally, curiosity won. I opened it. The first line read, there was once a woman who thought she had escaped her past. The handwriting, neat, elegant, unmistakably hers. I didn't sleep that night. I sat by the window, watching the city lights shimmer across the sea. My mind raced through every possibility. Was it her? Did she somehow send someone, a student, a proxy, to remind me she still existed? Or was this just paranoia, the echo of trauma that refused to fade? I didn't know. Maybe I never would. But as dawn began to rise, I finally understood something. Revenge isn't about destruction. It's about release. Lena wanted me trapped in fear and anger and obsession. But the one thing she couldn't predict was forgiveness. Not for her, but for myself. I tore the photograph into pieces. Then I walked outside and watched the sun break over the horizon. The light spilled across the water, the same river, the same reflection, but somehow new. For the first time in years, I whispered Daniel's name and didn't feel the ache of loss, only memory. Months later, I received a letter from the prison. It was from Lena. I almost threw it away. But curiosity, or closure, made me open it. It was short, handwritten. Mara, I'm not sorry. But I do think of you often. You were the only one who ever truly saw me. That's why I broke you, because I wanted to see if you could survive it. You did. And somehow, that's beautiful. I folded the letter and placed it in my drawer, next to Daniel's watch. Not as a reminder of her, but as a reminder of me. Because I did survive it. And I became someone she could never control again. The shadows would always linger, that's the price of walking through them. But as long as I kept moving toward the light, they'd never catch me. And maybe, just maybe, that's what true revenge really is.